What is up, and welcome back to my channel. So this is a new series that I'm going to be starting, 30 for 30, where we just have a quick little 30-minute chat about what it's like starting over in your 30s. If you're thinking about starting over, if you're currently starting over, or you've started over and you're now learning all these different things. So a little bit of a background is I finally left Los Angeles. So some of you that follow me on Instagram saw that I picked up my whole entire life and just moved to Florida. Within like a couple of months, I just abruptly decided. So I feel like a common thing in your 30s is, what should I be doing and what am I supposed to be doing? Society has created this whole standard for us that you go to high school. Once you go to high school, you go to college. You meet your high school sweetheart or you fall in love in college. Then you get a career. Then you get married. Then you buy a house. Then you have a child. And society has painted this picture out. This is what you should be doing, or this is where you should be at. And I know for myself and other people I've ever spoken to was I just never fit that criteria. So the last year or two, because I'm 32 now, I've just been feeling like super depressed, and depressive states of mind is really just a feeling, right? For the most part. And I think a lot of it has to do with your surroundings, the things that you're listening to, the people that you surround yourself with, the city that you're living in. There's a lot of factors into that. And I feel like a lot of people in their 30s, once they get to that age, they're at this crossroad of, am I content with what I'm doing, or do I just want more for myself? And a lot of people, when you express oh yeah, I want to start over, I want a career change, people's automatic thing will to be just to first tear you down from it, and to just be like, well, you're a little bit older now, and are you sure that you should be taking this risk? And I'm here to tell you that you absolutely should be taking that risk, because why are you going to stay in a state of mind that you're unhappy with? If you're unhappy at your job, you could always go find another job. If you're unhappy in the place that you're living, you could always pick up and move and go somewhere else. And if you're just unhappy with yourself, your 30s is the time of your life where you could really take a step back and become whoever it is that you want to become. You can try new experiences. You can go travel. You can become a whole different person. You can choose the people that you want to be friends with. But you can't do that until you make the conscious decision for yourself that, hey, I am going to start over. And it is scary. It's definitely scary starting over at 32. I definitely built a whole entire life in California for myself. I had a great career where I was getting paid great money for my job title. I lived in a beautiful building that was a luxury high-rise building that was right across the street from the Staples Center. So to the public eye, I had everything I could ever possibly want, but I was still living in misery. And a lot of that was because of myself, because I felt like I was on autopilot every single day. And I just felt like I was going through the motions. I would wake up at 4:00 in the morning. I would drink my coffee. I would read my Bible. I would journal, then I would go to work. Then after work, and I taught my first half of my group fitness classes, I would come home. I would either take a nap or I would go to the gym. Then I would go teach some more classes. Then I would have another break. And then it was just becoming so redundant, where it became to a point where all of my close friends or anybody that I was dating at the time just knew my routine like this. And it was just like, damn, how do you know my routine? Well, you do the same thing every single day. And I was like, wow, I do the exact same thing every single day. And you know what? For some people, that 9 to 5, clock in, clock out, that lifestyle works for them. There's absolutely nothing wrong with those people. I'm speaking to the people, hello, I'm speaking to you who are in their 30s who just realize that either that lifestyle isn't for them, or I didn't go the traditional route and I need to just start over again. That's the demographic that I'm talking to. So if you're feeling just stuck right now in your 30s, I want you to know that only you can control that. Are you going to spend another 5 more years and then be in your 40s and then just still feeling the same way and been like, damn, I wish that when I was 32, 33 years old, I did just take that leap of faith? Because the worst possible outcome is it doesn't work out and then you're back at the drawing board, right? So when I made the decision to move from LA, I really had to do one of these. Like, what is it exactly that's making me unhappy? And it took me a while to realize that it was just the city of LA as a general statement. I moved out there with all these ambitions and goals and everything like that. And I really wanted to be this famous celebrity trainer, and I really wanted to be this famous, well, whatever it was. But then once you're like actually in those spaces, I started to realize that, hey, maybe this isn't really what I want. Then there were a group of girls that I was hanging out with when I first moved to LA, and I just wasn't fulfilling to me. Like going out and being at all these parties, I quickly realized like I was forcing myself. Remember when we were kids and we had that like puzzle piece where a hexagon goes with a hexagon, the triangle goes with the triangle, the circle goes with the circle. I just constantly felt like I was a triangle shoving myself into the circle, and it just wasn't fitting. And I couldn't understand like what it was. So once I was hanging out with those group of girls, I started to realize like I'm just different and this is just isn't for me. Then I had another group of friends, and again, like making friendships in your adult life is much different than when you were a kid. I had the same group of friends like when I was a kid, from when I was 14 all the way basically until I moved to California when I was 26. So starting adult friendships, sometimes you start to settle a little bit. If you're not strong-minded, like you just kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, Cindy's cool, but like, so I started to realize that too, like I was forcing myself into these friendships that didn't really have any quality, or that just didn't really always sit right with my moral code. So I think that was another thing that was like contributing to me just like feeling this autopilot. Like I was having the same conversations, like it wasn't stimulating conversation. I wasn't finding what I needed to. And then I also started to realize every single time I traveled and I had to go back to LA, it was just like this big production. Like I would start to get upset. I would start to get this like anxiety. And then once I got back to LA, all I did was just like sit in my apartment. Now, I'm not, again, just saying it was just the city of LA. I just think it was just my overall life and things that I was really trying to get done. It just wasn't hitting anymore. So once I started to get miserable with my job, which was a place that I loved, I used to love getting up and waking up and going to F45 at the butt crack of dawn. Like I used to love coaching. Once that started to dwindle down and I started to not feel passionate about it anymore, I started to realize like, okay, I need something else. Is it F45? Is it coaching? Is it the location? Like, what is it for me? And, for myself, I just feel like I really struggled in my late 20s into my early 30s with trying to be a version of Lindsay that was good for everybody else. I used to be the biggest people pleaser ever. And that was another thing that contributed to me wanting to start over in my 30s. Like I was realizing all these poor attributes about myself that I just didn't really like anymore. And being a people pleaser was number one. It's funny. A friend of mine told another friend of mine in passing that, man, it just seems like Lindsay just wears a mask and she will just not take it off. Or when she does take it off, like she's just a different version of herself for other people. And it really clicked with me when I heard that it's true. I do wear a mask sometimes. When I was in that environment and when I was in LA, like I was afraid to say certain things, or I was afraid that if I was myself authentically, people wouldn't like me. And I really struggled with that in my late 20s into my early 30s of really just struggling with who I was, because I used to allow everybody else to tell me who I was. So when you have a combination of all of those things, of your career just isn't fitting, you don't feel like you're comfortable in your own skin, and you're just not passionate about what your passion is anymore, that's when it has to click for you that something's got to give. You got to either pick up and move completely. You don't got to move out of state if you don't want to, but I highly suggest it. Get a new group of friends, get some new hobbies, like get a new job, and you're just going to watch the quality of your life elevate each time. Again, it's never easy, especially in this economy, to just pick up and be like, well, I'm going to leave my high paying job, because it is rough. I'm not going to sit there and lie to you. Like I was very fortunate enough that I had a situation that I was able to leave my job and come into Florida and have a good little baseline, but I decided to take a bet on myself and just do online coaching. Is it bringing me in a ton of money? No, because this is the first time that I've actually taken that leap of faith to say, I don't want to go work for somebody else anymore. I want to believe in myself because I know that I have good work ethic. I know I have good passion behind the things that I do. And I know that I can achieve everything I want, because I don't know if this happens to everybody, but when you're not set out for that standard lifestyle, it's like God or the universe, whatever it is that you believe in, speaks to you that you're just destined for more. So even though I'm afraid of the unknown right now, because, I'm not getting all those big paychecks like I was for the last 6 years of my life, it is nerve-wracking, but I will say that my mental state and me falling into who is Lindsay, I'll never regret leaving and starting over at 32. Like in the beginning, I cried a lot and I felt like such a loser because I was watching all my friends get married, all my friends getting pregnant, all my friends buying houses. They were, they were moving in and just starting their lives, right? And then there I was, where I just felt so behind. I just felt like I wasn't in that realm anymore, where I felt like myself. I just didn't feel like I was supposed to be doing all the things that people were doing. And it's a hard pill to swallow when you know that you're just destined for bigger and better things, and you just got to take that leap of faith. And again, I felt like a loser. Like I felt like, wow, I'm starting over, but all of my friends, they're starting their lives, but here I am redoing mine. But the flip side to that is that you can't always just go by what society is looking for, right? Like you have to be able to stand on your own 2 feet to know, hey, I'm different and that's okay. I can still have my other timeline, because how I look at it is I have never been married before, which leads me to believe that the love that I've given to other people, I will successfully be able to give that to one person who is my person. The second thing is I don't have any kids, and I didn't have kids with the wrong person. I've watched a lot of my friends who had kids younger or kids with someone that wasn't their person, and now they're stuck with these people for the rest of their lives. And again, I'm not trying to say that these things are wrong, but I'm just trying to say like what my thought process is and how I started to view a negative situation into a positive one. So once I started to realize like, okay, wow, I don't have any baby daddy issues, or I don't have a horrible husband that actually hates me and cheats on me. Like the grass isn't always greener on the other side to like all these other situations. So it's not that you're far back behind. You're exactly where you need to be right now. And I know that that's a hard mindset to get out of, because you're freaking out right now. You're thinking like, wow, I have to start over and I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know what direction to take this in. Like, what do I want to do? My best suggestion is have a month or 2 months of a grace period where you just don't do anything. So set yourself up financially if you're thinking about changing and making a big change in your life. Take a step back for a month to just not do anything. And I'm talking not do anything, like sleeping in, reading books, going to the gym, just getting your mental state and your physical state back on track is going to be like key to really focus and propel you in. Then you have to take a step back and take a look and say to myself, is it my career or the company that I'm at? Do I want to make a total transition, or do I want to go off on my own and start my own business? So you could do that also too. And you could take a leap of faith and go for yourself, or you can go to another company that is just going to treat you better, because that's also like what it is too. You're a product of your own environment. So if you're constantly putting yourself in an environment that is not set up for success and it's set up for failure, you're just never going to thrive there, because you're not meant to be there. So if you just feel like you go into work every single day, you just clock in, you clock out, and that's really the extent of your life. You were meant for so much more than that. So I say all this to say that if you're in your 30s and you're thinking about starting over, or if you're currently starting over like me, welcome. This is the next content series that I'm going to be making, where once a week I just drop some knowledge on 30 for 30. So this week we're just talking about simply just starting over and finding what that means for yourself, and just not to be afraid to take that leap of faith, because it is scary and because you do have bills to pay. But also just remember, you weren't meant to just pay bills and die. Like, you have to live a life, you have to become happy. And it does suck when you're just on autopilot every single day and you can't figure out what is the root to my unhappiness. And, sometimes taking the advice for friends and just being like, oh, it's fine, it'll get better. No, it doesn't get better. It doesn't get better until you make the conscious decision to make it better, in all honesty. And it's kind of hard to do that when you don't know, or when none of your friends have ever started over in their 30s, or now maybe you're being forced to start over in your 30s because you're going through a breakup, or you lost your job, or you lost your apartment, God forbid. But if you did do any of these things, I know you're freaking out right now, and I know it's like a hard pill to swallow, but things are always going to get better. When God or the universe, whatever you believes in, knows that you're set up for something else, He's never going to make you fail. He's going to teach you a lesson. He's going to put you in silence. He's going to make you uncomfortable, but it's also going to project you to be comfortable. Would you rather just stay stuck in the position that you're in right now and just be miserable, and then allow life to pass you by? And then before you know it, you're in your 50s and you're still sitting in that misery, and you wish that, like, oh, I wish I just did that in my 30s. It would be so much easier. Life is way too short. And that's one thing that I'm learning right now. Is I'm on month number 2 of just starting over. And the biggest lesson that I'm learning is you're exactly where you're supposed to be right now. Don't be sad that you aren't making $1 million a year just yet. Don't be sad that you're not married just yet. Don't be sad that you don't have a family just yet. Don't be sad that you don't have your dream house just yet. Because like I said earlier, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And the people who have that, and the people who constantly post about that, you really don't know what's actually going on through that mind. And you don't know if these people are actually happy in real life, to be honest with you. So just stick with what you're doing and just know that it's going to be okay. And starting over means that you get to start completely fresh. If you pick up and move to a new city, guess what? It's going to be lonely, but it's also going to be refreshing because you get to be a new version of yourself. You get to now choose the adult friendships that you want to have in your life. You get to now choose a new career. You get to now choose a new apartment, a new furniture, a new decor, whatever it is. Like, all these things are now going to elevate you. If you pick up and move to a new state, it's going to be a big blessing. It might be hard in the beginning and lonely, but just know there's other people out there that are doing the exact same thing. And you'll just thank yourself in years to come. Like, wow, I'm glad that I was uncomfortable for a year. I'm glad that I got to do new things. And I'm glad that I got to experience life and just be happy. That's the most important thing in life, is just being happy and being in control of yourselves. Once you can master control of your own life and not compare apples to oranges, because that's the life that we live in, unfortunately, is just every time you're going down a rabbit hole on social media, you're seeing Cindy Lou Who, like, oh, she has her second baby already, and I don't even have one baby. You don't know if that's actually real, if she's actually really happy about that. So just remember, you don't need to live in society's standards. You just need to live in your own standards. And if you're thinking about doing it, do it. If you are doing it, congratulations. We already made the biggest step that most people are never going to do. So this is going to be your 30 for 30s.